So this is a little different from what I usually do with my YouTube channel. I typically just stream on Twitch and post my highlights here, but I wanted to make a video that might help players in the finals, specifically new players, get a little bit better at World Tour, improve his teammates, and maybe help the community pick up some few good habits. I'm not a pro player, I'm not particularly great in ranked. I mostly just play World Tour, but I do tend to play pretty well, and I'm usually getting the most kills on my team. I have about 700 hours played. These tips aren't going to make anyone a great player on their own, but I am hoping that it can help anyone who sees it be a better teammate, understand the game a bit better, and have more fun and maybe not uninstall out of frustration. There are a lot of great players and content creators on other games that can teach you how higher level players get to be so good, but I've tried to make this as specific to the finals as I can, and it's mostly based on the experiences I've had when I was starting to play and mostly trying to correct some of the bad habits I've seen from my teammates as I've played mostly solo queue world tour over the last year and a half or so. In order to follow these all, you'll really just need the game, a console to play on, and it does help to have a decent headset because footsteps and other sounds are super important in this game. But also, it helps to be able to communicate with your teammates, so having your mic on is also going to be important for some of these. Before we get into it, this video isn't so much about the gameplay, but a quick note on the gameplay. It's a really solid performance where me and my teammates make it to the final round. I don't want to spoil it, but stick around to the end because it's a really tense final cash out with some fun plays. With that, we can get into 10 tips that'll help you improve at the finals, specifically World Tour, and maybe even help you get a few World Tour tournament wins. Tip number one is understanding the difference between each game mode and adjusting how you play and your class loadouts accordingly. Quick play is something that you can try or use any weapons or gadgets that you want. This includes the quick cash game mode, bank it, power shift, and limited time modes like team deathmatch. Ranked is very similar to World Tour, but I'm not a particularly highly ranked player. It takes a lot of team coordination to do well at the higher levels of ranked, and getting reliable people to be on your team and play at the same level as you isn't always super easy. So I wanted to focus on what you can do as a single player or solo queue in World Tour. World Tour is a tournament mode in the finals, which at the time of this video has 24 players divided into brackets. 12 players start a single round as four teams of three, each with two respawn tokens. We'll touch on the respawn tokens a little later in this video. Qualifying rounds are 9 minutes long and have up to 1 minute of overtime. Vaults 1 and 2 will spawn on the floor at the beginning of each qualifying round in random locations on the map and must be stoked by a player, which will award that player's team $1,000. 25 seconds after being stoked, a vault can be picked up and deposited into the cash out station A through D, also randomly spawned on the map two at a time. After a vault is deposited into the cash out station, the team who deposits that vault will get a percentage of the money, and which is 20% at the time of this video. A 2-minute timer will begin and spawn over the cash out station. The controlling team's color will fill the timer over the course of 2 minutes until the time runs out. At the end of the 2-minute timer, the team who controls the cash out station will win the remaining 80% of the money, and a new vault and cash out station will spawn. Multiple vaults can be deposited into a single cash out station, and to steal, a player has to be within a short distance of the station and hold the steal key for 5 to 6 seconds until it is stolen, and they will now control the cash out, and the timer will change to reflect their team's color. The timer will not reset. Players also receive a small amount of money for eliminations, $500 at the time of this upload. The two teams with the most money will qualify to enter round two, and the two teams with the most money in round two will advance to the final round, which has a 20-minute timer but lasts about 5 to 7 minutes usually. In the final round, only one vault will spawn at a time, and teams can only earn money by holding a cash out station at the end of the timer after that vault is deposited. The first team to successfully cash out two stations and reach $50,000 will be the winner of the final round. Tip number two is that before starting your first game, start by creating a loadout that suits your skills, playstyle, and the game mode you want to play. Do not just focus on kills and don't just choose a medium AKM just because it's the easiest to learn or what you used to from playing other games. If you do well with that class, then use it. However, you want to have a class that's prepared to move around the map, get kills, support your team, and most importantly, play the objective. As a very rough rule of thumb for beginners, lights are going to be better at eliminating enemy players, mediums are going to be better at supporting the team, and the heavy can play the objective and protect or support the team very well. Each class has one primary weapon, a specialization tool, and 3 gadgets that they can equip in their loadout. A good beginner loadout for each class is a light with the dash specialization, an SMG primary weapon, sonar grenade, fire grenade, and gateway as the equipment, a medium with a healer specialization, the pike or AKM assault rifles for your primary weapon, and for your gadgets, a glitch trap, a jump pad, and gas mines. A heavy can use a mesh shield as their specialization, the SA 1216 shotgun, and for the gadgets, the dome shield, goo grenade, and RPG. Lights are the fastest characters, mediums are the second fastest, and heavies are the slowest characters. You should try each class and toy around with what you find fun and fits your skills, but the classes I've listed are a really good starting point for beginners. Try to make sure any class you create has the potential to eliminate enemy players, mobility items to get you around the map quickly, and something to support the objective by moving the vault or defending your cash outs. Tip number 3 is very straightforward and probably something you've heard before: position correctly. Play to the objective and play the long game. Focus on doing things right rather than doing things fast, which means don't die in the opening seconds of a fight and don't just shoot anything that moves. It's incredibly common for me, even as a light player, to get to the first vault and only see that my teammates have already been eliminated or are super low on health and I'm left in a 3v2 or 3v1 situation. It's really important to be aware of your surroundings and don't run directly towards the objective in a straight line and into your opponent's line of sight. Most players are probably watching for enemy teams, and most good players are setting traps like mines, turrets, or crossfire with their teammates. Tip number 4, and this is super important: if you do get eliminated early on, don't waste your tokens. When you die, there will be a countdown of 12 to 25 seconds before you can use one of your respawn tokens. If your teammates are eliminated before you respawn, that's called a team wipe, and it'll initiate a new timer of 15 to 30 seconds, and your whole team will spawn together when the timer reaches 0. Don't be afraid to get team wiped. It's not the end of the world. You only get 2 tokens to start a game, and 1 more respawn token for every successful qualifying round, for a total of 4 respawn tokens throughout the entire tournament. As a general rule, unless your individual play will make a huge difference in some pivotal moment, it's just smarter to wait for a revive or even a team wipe. It might feel counterintuitive at times, but a team wipe is not the end of the world. You have such limited tokens, and the worst thing that can happen if you don't token is usually offset by having it for a more important time later in the round or later in the game. You shouldn't use tokens when the first or second vault is on the line. You shouldn't token if the first cash out is on the line, and you shouldn't use your token if there's less than 45 seconds left on a cash out, because you won't have enough time to get to it after you spawn in. The best case scenario is you are making a Hail Mary play for a very small amount of money in exchange for an extremely limited and valuable resource in your respawn tokens. The worst case scenario, and much more realistically, is that if you end up using your token, your teammates either die and you're fighting an uphill battle alone with very low odds of winning in a 3v1, or worse, multiple teams versus just you, or even worse, your teammates win the fight and they could have revived you anyway. Use your best judgment, but remember that these tokens are super important and when used correctly can save a round or turn the tides of an entire tournament in your favor. You shouldn't be finding yourself at 0 tokens halfway through the first round. As a general rule, use tokens when you have enough time to make a difference in securing a valuable cash out station or preventing an enemy team from passing you on the scoreboard towards the end of the round. Otherwise, just wait to be revived by a teammate or for a team wipe to happen. Tip number 5 is another really important one, but very straightforward. Stick together with your teammates, give good comms. Ask if your teammates have mics at the beginning of a round, use text chat if you're on PC, and use your dialogue and ping options if you don't have either of those. You can double tap the ping button to put down a red ping and let your team know where an enemy is, or press the ping button only once to put down a blue ping. You can point out which objective you're going to, call out a mobility tool like a jump pad, or otherwise bring attention to something important. You should also note where your teammates are putting down their pings and check it out. It also doesn't hurt to open the dialogue wheel and spam hello, as it's accepted in the community that this is a good way to communicate and let people know you're mentally present and not a toxic player. Tip number 6 is to remember that the way you win this game is by making money. The fastest way to get a cash out is, of course, to walk in, eliminate the enemy players as quickly as possible, and steal the cash out station that they're defending, but that doesn't always work. Sometimes it's not possible to wipe the enemy team, other times you get third partied. Use gadgets like goo or the heavy barricade, the dome shield, or even the medium turret to distract and delay the defending team. If you can get 5 seconds alone with the cash out and delay the defenders from getting to you, then you can steal their cash out. When you are making a push to steal and there's at least 20 seconds on the timer, you do not need to rush in and try to eliminate everyone. Spend 5 to 10 seconds surveying the surrounding area. Use your recon gadgets to figure out where the enemy team is camped out and defending from, and plan your attack carefully. If the enemy team can't be eliminated before the time runs out, you can take advantage of their passive defense. It's okay to sneak in undetected, set up a barrier or a shield or some goo, and then steal it while they can't shoot you. This will not always work. No strategy will. But at some point, you simply need to hold the steal button on the cash out. And if you do manage to steal the cash out station, defending and eliminating enemy teams that are trying to steal from you is much easier. So you've put yourself in an advantageous position. Tip number 7, when you're defending a cash out station, don't just stare at it for 2 minutes after you've captured it or deposited the vault. You will make yourself an easy target. Enemies will know you're there and start spraying the moment they enter the room. Move around subtly or on the high ground, or patrol the building for vantage points that let you see where the enemy is coming from. It's good to stay close, but you don't want to be right on top of the cash out station and looking at it where you're unable to see incoming enemies. Use gadgets like sonar grenades, motion sensors, turrets, goo, or barricades to find and delay the enemy player from getting the steal. Again, the objective here is to keep them from stealing your cash out station and your prize money. If you have a choice between getting a kill immediately or delaying the incoming enemy team by 30 seconds before ultimately losing the gunfight but securing the cash out, then it is better to secure the cash out. Do not push immediately into fights while you're defending it if it can be avoided. Do everything you can to make the attempted steal from enemy players a long, drawn out, and difficult process. Tip number 8 is to understand that this game sometimes requires basic math skills. Don't try to steal from the first place team if you are in third or fourth and won't be able to qualify with the money. For example, if you have $5,000 and first has 40,000 and second has 18,000 and each hold a cash out station worth 18,000, you will need to steal from the second place team even if you spawn closer to the first place team's cash out. If first and second both have a cash out worth 18,000, you have to steal from second. Because if you steal from first, the final score would be $40,000 for first place, 36,000 for second place who you didn't steal from, and 23,000 for you. You will be in third place and fail to qualify even though you won the final cash out. It is surprisingly common for random teammates to run fruitlessly to a cash out that will do nothing simply because we spawned closer to it. Do not be this teammate. Pay attention, make the smart plays that will help you qualify for the next round. Tip number 9, and this is one that I see a lot of from random teammates who don't seem to understand how the game or the timers work. Do not waste your time and rush towards a cash out station that you cannot steal. I'm not saying that you should not try hard or try your hardest or that you should be afraid of adversity in this game when there's a difficult situation. I am saying that when it's genuinely impossible to steal a cash out station due to the time limits, do not throw the match by pushing that cash out station. Each cash out lasts 2 minutes and it takes 5 seconds to steal once you've started. If you spawn 100 meters away and the cash out station timer has a quarter left before it runs out, you have 30 seconds to get across the map, wipe the defending team, and steal their cash out station. It is simply impossible, and you will do better for yourself and your team by waiting until the next vault spawns, or even better, going to a likely spawn point to wait for the next vault so that you can quickly stoke it and deposit into the next cash out station before being pushed by an enemy team. Use your mic, use your pings, or use your text chat to communicate with your teammates and let them know that this is not the play. The 10th and final tip is that eliminations do matter. This is not Call of Duty. You will not win by taking gunfights every chance you get. But the easiest way to stop other teams from stealing your vaults, stealing your cash out stations, and passing you on the leaderboards is by getting eliminations. You can win with only a few eliminations in each round, but it is much more difficult. And you'll find it's very hard to lose a round if you're putting up 20 to 25 eliminations as a team. While I may be stating the obvious for some, eliminations are worth $500 each and have the obvious benefit of getting rid of the enemy teams for you to deposit volts and hold your cash out station until the timer runs out. It's worth the time and effort to become at least competent with your gun and secure eliminations where you can while holding positions and strategically taking gunfights that limit your risk of being eliminated. Taking too many fights or losing because you were out of position puts your team down a player and makes it even more likely that you'll lose the objective. So while it is definitely true to say that a lot of eliminations does not win you the game, a small amount of eliminations or constantly being off the map because you've been eliminated can lose you the game. Those are my 10 basic tips for playing the World Tour mode in the finals. I hope it's helped you. I hope it's helped you improve, be a better teammate, and maybe even get a few tournament wins. If you like the content, I'd appreciate if you like, share, subscribe, or leave a comment. I upload shorts highlights daily, and I stream 3 to 4 days a week on my Twitch, which is linked in the description, as well as my YouTube bio. Stick around for the rest of the video because there's a really crazy end to the final fight on the final cash out, and thanks for watching. He hasn't gotten any revives yet. Yo.
Cash outs have a habit of finding new owners, especially in the final round. Enemy over there!
Medium is one shot. Got him. There's two dead. One dead. Swami. Get him. Diva. Shit.
Back in action.
Got him. Go. Take it.
Still packed up to you.
Let's go. Let's go.
It's lights out in the arena just as the
Oh my God, what a game.
The shock and awe from all of us here at the finals. Thanks for watching.
Woo, GG everybody.